Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Here I share what a typical week of meals looks like for us, a homeschooling family of 5 that eats 3 meals per day, mostly from scratch. Just a place to share recipes, meal prep, and dinner inspiration. Here I am Monday morning. I want to make chicken pot pie for dinner tonight, and this chicken is going to need a little time to cook and cool, which is why it is first thing on my list. While my chicken is going, I am going to throw together my baked oatmeal. I've shared this recipe before. I like to make this with ground oats. I make it so often that as I was preparing it last week, I went ahead and mixed up the dry ingredients for this week. I will definitely be doing this again. Having the oats already ground and the rest of the dry ingredients all measured and mixed up was so convenient. I'm also going to start on the kids' breakfast. I shared these chocolate chip oatmeal bars in my last video. These were such a hit that I am doubling the recipe today. These are also great for snacks. I plan on freezing half of this batch. While those are baking, I'm going to start on my vegetables. I'm putting together another veggie tray for the fridge. I am also doing another chopped salad. This week I'm trying out this chickpea salad my friend has been raving about. I'm not following the recipe exactly. I couldn't get my hands on any cherry tomatoes or any tomatoes for that matter, but I did have this one in my fridge. We will dress this as we eat it with salt, pepper. I think I have some balsamic vinegar in my pantry. I am also slicing cucumbers for some more pickles. This week I'm trying out a new pickle recipe. Dicing onions for my pot pie filling. And lastly, slicing zucchini for tomorrow's dinner. Now that my veggies are prepped, I'm going to get some bread dough going. This is going to need an hour to rise. While my dough is rising, I want to throw together some meatballs for the freezer. For this recipe, you're going to need ground beef, breadcrumbs, milk, chopped parsley, salt, pepper, and garlic. I am tripling this recipe, which is going to give us enough meatballs to last us the next few months. Meatballs are one of my freezer staples, such a versatile protein that can be used in multiple ways. Once my beef is seasoned and all mixed up, I'm going to spread it out onto a parchment-lined baking sheet. I'm doing my best here to ensure that it's evenly spread. I'm going to pop this in the freezer for a few minutes to chill. Once my meat mixture is nicely chilled, it took about 20 minutes, I am taking a knife to it, trying my best to cut an even grid. I don't know where I saw this hack. I did not come up with this myself, but I thought it was genius. I have the hardest time making uniform meatballs. Obviously, the smaller your grid, the smaller your meatballs are going to be. My kids like their meatballs on the smaller side. I got 117 meatballs out of this. Now it's time to start rolling out these meatballs. Once my meatballs are all rolled out, I'm going to pop them in the oven at 350 for 15 to 20 minutes until cooked through. Now it's time to portion out my bread. This recipe yields enough dough for 4 loaves. This week I am using half for dinner rolls. This one will be a cinnamon loaf, and this one is just going to be a regular sandwich loaf. I find dividing half this dough into 18 pieces makes the perfect size sandwich rolls for us. Here I am trying to figure out how to efficiently cut this evenly. I am no expert. I stretched the dough into a long enough rectangle that I could do 1 long slice down the center and then 8 more slices across, giving me 18 pieces. I formed each piece into a little ball, placing them on another baking sheet to rise. Now for my cinnamon bread. I am using a 1/4 cup of brown sugar with a tablespoon of cinnamon. I have been trying to perfect the perfect swirl. I've watched several YouTube videos and I'm still working on it. If you have any tips or tricks for me, please comment below. Lastly, my sandwich loaf. All this bread is going to need another hour to rise. While that's rising, I'm gonna start on my chicken nuggets. I make these with cut up chicken breast pieces and I double bread them with flour and breadcrumbs. As I'm cutting up the nugget pieces today, I am reserving some larger pieces for fried chicken sandwiches I have on the meal plan later this week. I am cutting these larger pieces to a uniform thickness using what I cut from them for nuggets. Once I'm done cutting, I am tossing all the chicken into a bowl and liberally seasoning it with my homemade seasoned salt and pepper. Time to start breading. This is tedious work, but so worth it. I shared these in my freezer staples video. These can be used in a variety of ways. Sometimes I toss them in a honey garlic glaze. Some nights I serve them over salad, and I make them a lot for lunches. Here I am once I've finished. I have 3 single layers, each layer separated by parchment. I have my whole chicken breast pieces here on top. These are going to the freezer just like this till frozen through. Time to start throwing all this bread in the oven. While my rolls and loaves are baking, I am going to put together my pot pies. I have my filling here. I just need to add in the veggies and all that meat from the chicken I started off with this morning. I have removed all the meat from the bones and I have the bones simmering on the stove now with some of my vegetable scraps and peelings from this morning. I am going to get 2 dinners and a couple of lunches from this one chicken. I plan on making a few ham pies with the leftover filling and the scraps from my crust here. This pie crust is homemade from my freezer. I prepped this in my last video. Every other week, I like to double up on a recipe that freezes well, like these pot pies, giving me one for this week and one for next. If I had the freezer space, I would probably triple or even quadruple a meal like this, giving us more options. Thankfully, my family doesn't mind having a meal like this on repeat. Like I said in the beginning of this video, we eat most everything from scratch, and I don't know how we would manage without the option of freezer meals. Having homemade frozen options like pizza, pancakes, and casseroles available for quick meals gives me the time freedom I need to prepare other homemade staples I might otherwise purchase from the store. For example, my kids were able to prepare their own breakfast on this Wednesday morning, freeing me up time to throw together this homemade jam. By the way, this 3-ingredient jam made from frozen berries is amazing. I love it because I am in control of the amount of sugar that goes into it, and frozen berries are available year-round. Okay, that was the bulk of my meal prep on this Monday. It is nearly 3 o'clock, definitely a productive day in the kitchen. I have my 2 dinner-sized pot pies, one for tonight and one for the freezer. I was able to make 7 hand pies for lunches. I have my bread cooling. I've got a couple jars of chicken broth, a batch of pickles for the fridge. I can now bag up these meatballs. They're pretty much frozen through. They have been chilling out in the freezer, single layer on a baking sheet. I have my breakfast baked oatmeal for the week. The kids have some chocolate chip oatmeal bars to snack on. Half of these are going to the freezer. And here I am the next day bagging up those nuggets they needed to freeze overnight. And those chicken breasts for sandwiches. Here is how it came together on the meal plan. Monday, we had that chicken pot pie for dinner. Tuesday, I tried a new recipe, this Parmesan Orzo. The original recipe called for heavy cream and a 1/4 cup of Parmesan. I ended up using about 3/4 cups of whole milk and 1/2 cup of Parmesan. I also added some fresh zucchini, those frozen meatballs, and I used my homemade broth. This was so good, y'all. There weren't any leftovers. All 3 of my kids finished their plates. This was served with those dinner rolls. Wednesday was supposed to be leftovers, but we had none. Fortunately, I had some frozen pinto beans in the freezer, and we always have rice in the pantry, so I was able to throw together some rice and beans. Thursday, we did those fried chicken sandwiches. These can be fried from frozen, and I toasted up some of those dinner rolls. I did my best to make a Chick-fil-A sauce. It was hard to find all the ingredients I needed, but it turned out pretty good. The kids approved. This was served with baked potato wedges and some raw veggies. Friday, we did Korean barbecue short ribs in the crock pot with rice and frozen steamed broccoli. Saturday was roasted chicken with vegetables. This has been a go-to meal for weeks now. So simple and delicious. I served this with this rice-a-roni copycat I've been experimenting with. Full recipe coming soon. And Sunday, we did homemade pizza. I tried a new pizza crust recipe. It was so good. I'm planning on a frozen pizza restock using this new recipe in my next video, so stay tuned. For breakfast this week, we did cinnamon bread and eggs a few times. The kids finished off the last of the pancake muffins from my last video. Lunch is pretty much on autopilot. I have a full lunch video here. I served most everything with a side of veggies. I also made another batch of blackened chicken breast. I eat this a lot. I made myself rice bowls with that chopped chickpea salad and tzatziki. This was so good. I ate it almost every day. A new recipe I tried this week were these berry oat bars. I was hoping for a new snack I could add into the rotation. I subbed coconut sugar for granulated and maple syrup for honey. I used my homemade strawberry jam. I really enjoyed these. However, I don't know if I'll be making them again, at least not for the kids. They ate them, but in the words of my oldest, they are good, just not the best. Some other things I prepped this week, I pulled out all the spices in my spice cabinet to mix up a few of our favorite blends. I made another batch of seasoned salt, some more of my blackening seasoning. I also made this chicken bouillon powder. This was recommended to me by a friend of mine. She came across it on Instagram. I will link the creator's account below. I love the convenience of bouillon cubes, but I really don't like the amount of sodium in them. This is the first time I've made it, and the nutritional yeast was a bit pricey here in Botswana. However, it did make quite a bit. This turned out really good in that rice mix that I was experimenting with. We'll see, this may turn out to be a new homemade staple in my spice cabinet. Alright guys, that's all I've got for you this week. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video if you thought it was helpful, share it if you think it's worth sharing, and tap on that subscribe button if you haven't already and want to see more. Until next time.